This is an interesting story that I hadn't heard of before. There's a massive, massive energy project being developed in the west of India. It's going to be one of the largest, if not the largest, clean energy plant in the world, and it's meant to be about 5 times the size of Paris and visible from space. And when I looked at it, I zoomed in a bit, and I could actually see some of these solar developments that were ongoing. This is a bird's eye view of the region, and you can really see the amount of effort that's gone into producing this solar farm. The idea, though, is that this is going to be much, much bigger. You can see some of the groundworks already being put into place here. A lot of development for the region, and the company is very proud of what they're doing there. They kind of have a lot of a lot on their website. This is Adani Green Energy or renewables, and you can see 50 megawatts in this region, 50 megawatts in that region, 50-50. We go back to one of the first pages. There were much bigger projects with 150, 648 megawatts. And megawatts is how much electricity can be produced in the region. Of course, remember, electricity only comes from solar when the sun is shining. And yeah, this number, 648, that's quite impressive. And when we consider a coal plant, maybe we could look at maybe an Irish coal plant producing 915 megawatts. The largest Indian plant produces 4,760 megawatts. And I might have a picture of that plant here. This is a massive plant, by the way. I can't pronounce that, but it's just, I think it's one of the biggest thermal power stations in the world. And you can see here all the coal pits. It's about, what did I say, 3 kilometers across diagonally. Just a really impressive site, probably extremely polluting. You can see all of the smoke and steam coming out from the plant there. I actually have a, let me see, an indicator for the electricity production in India, and it is pretty bad in terms of just it being pure coal. 78% of electricity available in mainland India comes from coal. And let's reload that website. India, with the dark red, showing a really high carbon intensity of 659 grams. Compared to other countries, that is pretty bad. Brown, of course, is better, and Europe is green, mostly except for Poland, which is even worse than India comparatively. But of course, India produces a lot more electricity than Poland. And here we see a little bit about the different outputs. India, mostly coal, hydro, solar, wind is quite small. However, this story is about how they're trying to improve their wind and solar and the potential issues that are going to be involved with that. This map here is going to be important in a minute. This is showing us where there is flooding. And in my opinion, they're going to put, and have put, a lot of this infrastructure in a flood zone, in a floodplain. This is the year 2050 here. And we can see, by my understanding, the current solar farm that I just showed you is about here, which is fine. By 2050, there's no big issue. This is set to current trajectory, look at medium. So yeah, don't know what they mean exactly with look at medium, because look can be bad or good, but that I assume means that we're going to have temperature rising on the planet and certain levels of water rising. So yeah, if things go kind of okay, yeah, the region is going to suffer a lot of flooding in these areas by 2050, but it's in the future that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at 2140. Then this region is underwater, actually. A lot of the projected places, especially this region too. There is a map here that shows, let me see, here's the one. I believe this is the region that's going to have more development. This is a power line going through there to bring that new electricity out from the region. And again, this region close to this kind of water body here, it's just a desert basically. It's a really flat desert. And it will probably suffer flooding going forward. I did have a good map here talking about the elevation. This is again the similar region. This is exactly where we were looking at, 5 meters above sea level. Now, of course, a lake isn't going to grow in the same way the sea is going to grow. Why? Because the sea is going to be getting the iceberg water into it. But still, it's a very, very low altitude-wise, 3 meters there. 8 meters further up here, 7 meters, and 7 meters again. So it just seems like a very questionable place to put the solar. Now, they do have an answer for this, and I thought this was quite clever. In a video here I saw from the Associated Press, they have put these solar panels on the supports, so they are actually standing outside of the water. But will that be enough to protect them if the water rises more? Also, there's other bits of infrastructure that are lower down. I saw in other pictures of the plants, and I mean, unless they design the entire solar system network to be above the water like this, and maybe even taller, then they're going to have a very big issue in the future. Now, there's a caveat to that. Solar panels only kind of last about 25 years before you have to start replacing them due to reliance and efficiency levels. So there will be a big, let's say, redevelopment phase needed anyway. But it's just kind of an interesting story to be putting so much effort into a region that probably isn't going to be that great in terms of stability in the water levels. Now, another interesting thing about this region is that we have the Pakistan border right here, and yeah, according to some news articles, it's quite a dangerous place, Pakistan at the moment, and it's a contentious border region. So that's also interesting putting it close to there. But you can understand why they've put it here. I mean, it is a very open and very empty landscape. According to, let's see, I do have a population density map open here somewhere. Here we go. Very empty region right here. You can see exactly, it's white. Nobody lives here. So you're not really affecting people. There won't be any NIMBY, like NIMBY, not in my backyard. It's called NIMBY. Activity from the locals as much as there would be in a region like, more blue, basically. And again, if we look at the conflict, instability in Pakistan, let me reload that map. Impact, let's see, impact is limited, conflict status is worsening. This is from cf.org. So yeah, it is quite close to that region, you would have to say. A quick look at the Adani company. It's one of these massive companies founded in 1988 by Gautam Adani. Basically, he's one of the richest men in the world. I think he was nearly as rich as Elon Musk, but then something bad happened to him. Not to him, but to his company. A small US short seller firm called Hindenburg Research accused the Adani Group of fraud and stock manipulation, triggering lots of issues with the company money-wise before they could do a public offering. Adani loses 100 billion in less than a week. Sky News. Lots of money basically lost in a very short period of time. But apparently he's bounced back, and this project is kind of probably a bit of greenwashing as well to an extent. Not that it's greenwashing in the sense that they're not going to develop a really good project, but like trying to make their company that is primarily based off coal look a bit greener. We do have the website here for Adani Green Energy. A lot of very, very good projects. Look at this, 648 megawatts for a solar farm. That is pretty good. Let's put that in context. 648 megawatts is to do with the electricity output of that, or potential of that solar farm. Remember, solar only produces electricity when the sun shines, compared to a coal factory with a power plant which can produce power all day long, as long as coal is available. Remember that number now, 648. When we compare that to Ireland's biggest power plant, Ireland, much smaller nation, 915. So that's Ireland's biggest power plant, as far as I understand, or one of the biggest anyway. Produces most of the electricity for a lot of Ireland. 915 versus 600. That's quite a good stack up. But the next biggest ones are like 150, 200, 20, 100. So much smaller. When we compare that to India's biggest power plant, 4,760, and this is a huge power plant. I was looking at it from Google Maps. It's just the size of a like town basically. It's 3 kilometers long, and you can just see the size of these coal pits that they have. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any more detailed pictures, but you can just see the coal there. You can see the massive chimneys, the stacks, the smoke coming out. Let's see if we can get a chimney. There's a chimney there. Yeah, really interesting infrastructure, as always, with these power plants. There's another interesting, let's just reload this, power plant. Oh yeah, this is outside the power plant, so you can kind of see the tall chimneys there. I just thought this oil lorry was interesting. This looks very different to anything we'd see in Ireland. Just wonderful colours. And in relation to how much the actual renewable energy park that I'm showing you, that's going to be possibly underwater, it's going to produce 1,125 megawatts. That's pretty ambitious and pretty cool. If they could get that to work, would be quite impressive, actually, to be honest. This is, again, the Wikipedia about it, talking about the amount it will generate. 30 gigawatt electricity from both solar panels and wind turbines, an area of 72,000 hectares of wasteland, the biggest hybrid renewable energy park in the world. But again, long way to go before they actually reach that stage. Again, some more pictures from the sky down. It's just like what used to be agriculture is turning into like solar. It's pretty cool. They look like bales there, but they're probably part of the production. I think I have one more interesting map of one of the other power plants. This is a similar power plant in the region, quite close to the to this new solar project. What I thought was interesting about this was these sections here. These are big cooling units, I believe, but I haven't done enough research to understand exactly what they are. What are these units? There's a few units around the place. That's one. That's two. There's another one up here, another one there. I just think they're really interesting to look at. Massive spinning blades, and then a lot of transformers here, um, and then the actual coal units here. Big towers remind me of the Titanic with their big chimneys, and yeah, probably feeding into the reactors or into the burning infernos there. I can imagine. Really, really cool to see that. And of course, India uses a lot of electricity. When we look at the amount of BTUs used in India, we go here. India. Now this is interesting. India has the biggest population in the world, but now keep these numbers in mind. Production of primary energy, 19 quadrillion BTU. Consumption, 31 quadrillion. Compare that to the United States, much smaller population, but a bigger economy, 98 quadrillion, 97 quadrillion. And I look at the Chinese, same population, 134 and 165. So India is tiny in energy consumption compared to China. I thought that was really interesting. Again, if we go in here, we'll probably see it's all about coal. Yeah, production 12, coal consumes 16 units, quadrillion units. And these renewable ones are just starting to come on stream, 3.5, 3.5. Now, they probably have a lot of hydro already, so that's not purely new stuff, especially from the Himalayan mountains. There's probably a lot of rivers with a lot of good hydro projects like we saw in my Bhutan video. Check that out if you want to see a little bit about the hydro dams there. I looked at a little bit on those. But it just shows coal is the big player. And again, we saw that here again with these numbers on coal right there. Coal is just what keeps India ticking over in general. Yeah, so I guess those are the main points covered. Just the fact that this is a possibility that it can be flooded in the future. It seems like a weird place to put it, but you can see why they're doing it. You can see why it's happening. But just the idea of living even close to a region like this. I mean, imagine if you woke up in the morning and your entire neighborhood looked just like that. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be such a nice feeling, perhaps. But at the same time, it might be what the future looks like in terms of producing electricity from warm places. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing to see, those power energy projects being built in regions that might be underwater in the future. Certainly something to keep in mind when you develop something is, will it be underwater in a while? Hopefully they're keeping that in their minds and also putting a bit of resistance into the system that when that does happen, things will be okay.